Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Run Your Own Race podcast. It's been a great first season so far, and we're excited to continue sharing impactful stories from people across all walks of life. All that we ask is that you hit that subscribe button, and if you see interviews or content you appreciate, please smash that like button too. It truly helps the channel grow. All right, man, we're back with another episode of the Run Your Own Race podcast. Malad, we got CJ Massinburg, my brother. CJ, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You know, we had Matt Ryan on the last episode. Matt hit a crazy buzzer beater 3 to beat the Pelicans that really kind of put his name on the map. I mean, he's a great shooter. We saw him in the G League last year. And we actually did that episode right when I was away from Orlando and didn't know what my next step was going to be. So it just so happens that I'm now with the South Bay Lakers in the G League. We've had 4 games so far. As we record this episode, we're on a 4-game road trip. So that's kind of what's new for me in my life, but definitely excited to tap in with CJ since our journeys kind of began as we both began our professional careers. So now we're both in year 4. I'm in South Bay, and we'll touch base more on what you got going on your side of the world. So
CJ is kind of the testament to how being overlooked isn't the end of the story. It's just a minor step on the bigger journey. Dallas, Texas native. That's where he learned how to scratch, claw, and earn his way into Division I basketball ranks at the University of Buffalo. He took the opportunity and made that into a historical run where he became the second all-time leading scorer at the school. Survived a pandemic, survived a bubble experience, and now he's running his own race overseas, playing in France, playing in Italy. But for him, it's a little bit bigger than basketball, right? It's about building a legacy. It's about flourishing in the graces of fatherhood. So, yeah, man, we really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
No, I appreciate y'all for having me.
Again, yes, CJ definitely appreciates being on the pod. In comparison to other podcasts, have been tell us about your story from start to finish. You know, we've had WNBA players, we've had Formula One drivers. You know, I'm a big Formula One fan. A couple of people who scratched, through the G League. But I think your story is unique in that it's much bigger than the sport. I was blessed to be part of your wedding. You now have a son, Massinburg Jr. So instead of starting from the beginning and getting to the end, I want to start with where you're at right now. Talk about your family, talk about the season, the team that you're on, where you're at. We can kind of backtrack a little bit and start putting these pieces together because I want to start with the big picture.
So, yeah, I'm CJ Massinburg. Right now, I'm based in Brescia, Italy. It's me, my wife, and my son. We're here playing for Pallacanestro Brescia. We're playing in 2 competitions. We're playing in the Italian League, the first league in Italy, and then we're playing in the Euro Cup. Right now, we're kind of struggling in the Italian League, but we're doing pretty good in the Euro Cup. We just had a break with FIBA World Cup qualifiers. We needed that break. Now we're able to change our mentality, especially me, and then we'll be able to have some success in the second part of the season.
What's it like having obviously your wife and your son, with you over there? I haven't touched overseas yet. I've heard stories. Obviously, my fiance has played in Spain. I've visited overseas, but just like talk about life over there and with your family. You're not alone. So just how's that been? Obviously, you said it's kind of been rough so far, but how have they been a big help or influence for you?
Man, it's everything. Really, like that's half the battle with being overseas is being by yourself. And for me to have my wife and my son, seeing them every day, I get to come home after a hard practice or even after a game, and they right there waiting on me with open arms. That's half the battle. My wife does a great job supporting me. She take care of the home, take care of little CJ. Man, having a kid, bro, is it literally changes your world, and how you view the world and how you think. And it's a lot of hard work. It's very time consuming. Sometimes he's crying. You don't even know why he's crying. But my wife really holds it down, and I'm able to have that foundation set. And I can just focus on basketball, and I can just focus on just, being a good husband, being a good father. I don't have to worry about all of the small things. It gives you extra motivation. Every home game, I see my son over there. He's a fan favorite. The crowd loves him. And then give you extra motivation to go hard. You got somebody that's always watching you at every game, every time you walk through the door. So, yeah, I don't know where my career or where I would be if my family wasn't over here. They've been over here, or my wife been over here since day one last year when I was in France. So, she's been a big help. Shout out to her.
What did you notice as like the first big transition into fatherhood? Like, what was the thing that maybe you cared about that you previously didn't care about? What was the thing that you noticed wasn't as big of a concern now that you had a son? Like, what was that first big thing for you?
I would just say being efficient with my time. Before I had a son, like, I was married, but all of us, we kind of addicted to social media. We'll just be scrolling on the reels and we just keep watching. Now that's time that I could be spent playing with him. That's time I can be investing in his future, investing in my family's future as a whole. So I would say just being more efficient with the time. Like it's like, wake up, like you got somebody you got to provide for years to come. So you better be being productive with your time. So
wow.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's pretty crazy to think about.
No, bro. And you already said he's a fan favorite. I mean, I remember over the summer, and you can talk more obviously about it. You experienced it. I'm just watching you, Buffalo, the boy Ed, Nick, everybody making this miraculous run through the TBT. And obviously you had your son. I don't know if that was during the tournament, if you had him beforehand. But talk about being a fan favorite, the lucky baby. Just talk about, young CJ is already experienced a lot of basketball. So just what was that like in general, winning the TBT, but also, again, having him there and just what that moment felt like?
Yeah, so at first I wasn't going to play in the TBT, which is crazy. Like, I wasn't going to play in it because we didn't know his due date was like the day before TBT was going to start. But he ended up coming early. So he came like 6 days before the TBT started. So they gave me time to go ahead and make my decision to play. But it was, man, that whole summer run was crazy. For me, beginning to not play, and then now we got the team together and to take it all the way. And so in the TBT, when you advance, you advance to Dayton. So at first I was like, okay, guys, I'll give y'all like 2 or 3 games. And then when we advance, I got to stay home with the newborn and the wife or whatever. But we ended up winning those games. And then mommy was saying like, come on, we can make the trip. Let's go down there. Let's go make history. So I was like, okay, if you good with it, I'm good with it. We got in our rental car and we went down to Dayton. And man, the rest is history. We ended up winning the tournament. And he was right there and she was right there. And it was just amazing. Like, I couldn't ask for a better summer. Like, I thought 2021 for me, was amazing. Getting my first overseas job, getting married. But 2022 don't even compare.
That's big time. And you won MVP in TBT. Let's not act like you was just playing. Like, you were out there hooping, bro. Like, so just talk about that experience being the MVP. And we talk about run your own race, and we're kind of going in reverse. Which I think kind of gives some new perspective. I think just the style of it. But we're kind of going from, rewinding and seeing how you've probably leveled up at each step. You thought 2020, we're going to touch base on what it was like being in training camp in Brooklyn. But at that moment, playing some of your best basketball, just showcasing, probably playing free, having a son, and just not even thinking. Like, just talk about that. What it meant for Buffalo, your teammates, obviously the city with what happened, the tragic, events that took place over the summer. So like, what was that, the emotions? And like, you guys were praying. Just talk about that, like faith, just the family, environment that Buffalo is, and obviously the family that you started.
Right, definitely. That whole TBT run was just special. Like, we started out with a motivation, a reason, a why, a why we even playing in the first place. The tragedy of the Buffalo 10, the shooting at the Tops Market that just left the whole city. Like, the emotions in the city was crazy. Like, everybody was down, and everybody was grieving. It was unheard of. So for us to, have that goal in mind, we said, let's go win this thing for them. And then even after we won it, we was able to auction off the jerseys and donate the proceeds to the families. So just everything about this summer was special, especially within the TBT round, because we was able to be a blessing to families that was grieving, a city that was grieving, a community that had some troubling times. So it was amazing. And to have my son being born, to being back with the Buffalo community, and it was like a family. It's almost like it was meant to be. That's one of those things when we look back 10 years from now, we'd be like, man, we really did that. Like, that was special.
Yeah, it was special watching too.
Yeah, man, that's a beautiful thing. I think thinking about how you guys got to that point. Did you ever think you were ever going to be in a locker room setting or in a basketball setting with that many people that you went to college ever again? I mean, most people leave high school, they never play with those guys again. They leave college, they never play with those guys again either. So did you ever think you were ever going to be in a situation like that wasn't just like a college reunion?
No, man, I never thought that. I thought it was over with. Come senior night back in college, I didn't cry on senior night, but when it was time for me to leave the university, I definitely cried because I was like, man, I ain't gonna be able to play with my boys no more. Not even gonna be able to see them like that. But when the TBT tournament got introduced, I think we missed the first like 4 or 5 years or whatever. But then my assistant coach, Coach Brian Hodson, he hit up me and Nick Perkins and said, what y'all think about the TBT team? And then we was like, we down. Like, and then when we all met back up, it was crazy. Like, our first year in it, we made it to the Final Four, but we didn't win. But it was just amazing experience being back with those guys. And the chemistry was still there. Like, we were still running the same sets. You didn't have to tell somebody to be here. We already knew how each other played. So this year, it's like we picked up where we left off, and it was just special. And I really appreciate that tournament for that opportunity to, put together alumni teams and stuff, because like especially being a professional athlete, you don't take like tournaments like this for granted, playing with your homeboys, because most of the time you're playing with guys that you're just now meeting, it's a business. But this is just fun basketball. So
yeah. So in 2021, you guys, like you said, you went to the semifinals, didn't make it to the finals, unfortunately. Did it feel like, how do you rank that against other heartbreaking moments? Like right after, like you go to the tournament, you win a big game, you lose the next game. That had to be painful. But did that semifinal loss compare because it was your boys, because of that relationship, because of that camaraderie point?
I would say no, only because of this reason. In 2021, Wes Clark, he was pretty much our best player that whole tournament run. He was hitting Elam endings. He was doing it all for us, and he ended up getting hurt the game before. We snuck a win, but then going to that next game, we knew we was going to compete, but we was like, if we lose, like we just lost Wes, and he was pretty much our best player, so it didn't sting as bad. But this year, it gave us all the confidence we needed. Going into Dayton with a full squad, Wes is here, Nick is here, and we had all the confidence in the world. And then for us to win the championship game in that fashion, it was meant to be.
Nah, bro, that was so fun. I was watching these games. I'm like, dang, like I want to be on this team. Like, it looked fun, bro. It looked so fun. Like, I was like, I'll be an assistant GM, a coach. Like, and I remember watching these games. There was one time I was like in a gym that had the game on, and you guys are motivating me. Like, yeah, it's cool too, because CJ and I, and we can talk about this. I think this actually would be a nice way to kind of blend the two, kind of Buffalo, and then your transition to the pros. When we met in Brooklyn and then Long Island. But CJ and I, we didn't spend much time together on the floor, really. With injuries or people getting brought down and some DNPs. Like, our first year in the G League wasn't pretty. He had great moments, I had great moments, but I mean, we can talk about that. But with that being said, like, we didn't spend much time. COVID hit. CJ obviously got engaged. Was planning this wedding, for the following year, and for us not to spend that much time together, but build a relationship, strong, relationship where you obviously asked me to be, in your a groomsman in your wedding was super special to me. Like, really, connecting with someone. Not just because someone makes shots or wants to spend time in the gym, but the kind of person they are, their values, and that's so cool to do in professional sports, because it's not often that you do that, right? And so I got to meet Nick, I got to meet Ed, and just that relationship over the bachelor party and then the wedding, like watching those TBT things, I was like, man, like I want to play with these guys, but that's super dope. So let's actually just touch base on Summer League, let's go from Summer League, being a pro after having a historic, career at Buffalo. Let's just talk about the beginning of your professional journey, what that process looked like from pre-draft workouts, the agency you signed with, to get the opportunity with Brooklyn, and then kind of blend it into how we met in our first year in Long Island. Just like take the floor about that process.
Yeah, so let me go ahead and start with like draft night. We all watching them call picks 1 through 60. And then, you got that feeling in your heart, like, man, is this the day that my dream finally come true? But then when they got past the 60th pick, I was actually watching it with my family. And then when they got past the 60th pick, it's like, I don't know. It's like I was lost for words. It's not like, oh, I'm disappointed or I'm a failure or anything like that. It's just like, dang, like it's something you dreamed about your whole life and it's not going to happen, which was cool. But then 5 minutes later, your agent is going to call you and say, all right, we got this. You can choose to go here, or they got this. So they're offering things. So that frown quickly turned upside down, and then I ended up choosing to play Summer League with the Brooklyn Nets. Summer League was cool, but that was the year where Theo Pinson, Jared Allen played, Musa played, so they kind of had their guys or whatever, but the opportunity was there. You were going to get in and stuff like that, but Summer League was lit. And then the G League training camp was the next step.
It was like those summer workouts. It was a summer workouts. And you, I think from your perspective, you were actually in Brooklyn probably more than not. I think why? Because you were like in Buffalo.
Yeah, we had the summer workouts. That's when I first played against guys like Kyrie Irving, and that was his first year there. I don't think
Kevin Durant. Kyrie's first year. That was 4 years ago.
Yeah, that was their first year.
Beginning of the saga.
Yeah. Kevin Durant was injured, so that was my first time actually playing against Kyrie, and that was an experience. He did some things that I'd never seen before. I remember one time he got trapped like at half court, and he ended up losing his footing, and so now he like on his knees trying to like just get a pass, and while he throw a half court bounce pass like this to like somebody cutting back door, bro, I was like, are you serious? Did he really just throw that pass? But nah, it was an amazing experience, playing against somebody, you watch on TV all day. But I was there, and I wanted to make my mark, and I was one of the guys that was competing with Kyrie. I remember one day I had a really good day. But that was probably my only really good day against Kyrie. And we just, going back and forth, and we having some competitive trash talk. And in the moment, I'm just in the moment, and I'm competing, and I'm like, okay, see, like, keep going. Like, don't back down from nobody. And my team ended up winning that game. We did like games to 8, and then you'll rotate court if you win or lose.
Yeah. And
then by the time Kyrie's team got all the way back to playing us again, I think we got beat 8-0. We didn't score, but we got that win, so I was cool with it. But and then after practice, Kyrie came up to me, and then he was like, way to compete out there and stuff like that. He gave me one pretty hard foul, and then he apologized for that. He was like, man, my bad on that foul or whatever. But that was a good experience. So leaving the facility, I got out of the competitive mode, and then I was like, hold on, did me and Kyrie just go at it? Did me and Kyrie get into a basketball altercation? Like, bro, I can't wait to go home and tell she was my fiance, and then I can't wait to tell my fiance this. Like, this is amazing. Oh no, she was my girlfriend. Yeah, she was my girlfriend.
He got the timeline all wrong because he ain't have
Bro, I am not good with time. I always ask my wife like the time. I was like, baby, so last year. She was like, no, that was 2 years ago. So
our anniversary was last week.
Yes.
I remember that story though, because he was like, because I came late, and our timelines kind of talk about timelines. Like I went from summer league with OKC after draft night, so we both were undrafted. I didn't play more than 20 minutes the whole summer league out there in Vegas for 2 weeks. Just like, man, when's my opportunity? And then I knew I wanted to finish my degree. So, I had 2 classes and a thesis left, and CJ can attest to that whole process. So I did an internship in Chicago. I came back to Princeton's campus. I'm training at Princeton. And then I think I came up for maybe like a week of workouts before training camp. And so that's when I first actually met CJ. I remember in college, I was like at Princeton and I'm watching Buffalo, a mid-major team, top 25, playing together. CJ's just getting to it. I'm like, damn, I want to play like CJ, bro. Like I'm trying to get in my bag. Like I felt like I was a little limited in what, my capabilities were. And so CJ's here and he's telling me, I just was bumping with Kyrie last week. And I actually remember a day, there was actually 4 teams. Might have been pre-training camp. It's Kyrie, it's Spencer Dinwiddie, it's Taurean Prince. I don't know who else was on the floor, but I think Kyrie actually went out because his face, like he ended up being in a face mask. Yeah, someone hit him in the face. And so that team won that game and Kyrie's obviously not playing. So they had 9 and they were like, who's in? And I remember I just hopped in. I was like I'm not going to make this team per se. Like I know that if there's a vision is to be in Long Island, I'm going to make the most of my opportunity. We're going up against DeAndre Jordan. I'm throwing lobs at Jarrett Allen. This is my first time really getting bumped. He's been here all summer. I just stepped in. I think we won that game. I hit a couple shots. I'm like, man, I can play in the NBA. Like it was my first real bump with NBA guys like that. And so I think C and I went back to our little locker room way off on the side.
Yeah.
And we're sharing stories like, man, let's go, man. This is going to be a great year. And so we made a bond from that moment on.
Yeah, definitely.
The other thing that I noticed is identical between you guys is the signing picture. It seems like it's in the same room. You guys are wearing the same shirt. You guys are in the same pose. And that was the first thing I noticed. It's it was almost like it was destined to be.
Yeah, definitely. I remember that day. What did we just got done with a practice that day or what?
So yeah, I think we actually did a signing after the practice. But I remember they brought us to another room. They're like, hey, can you sign this real quick so you can participate in practice?
Yeah.
I signed it. And I think we were actually in Long Island the day before training and they brought us both hey, Brooklyn's going to sign you to this Exhibit 10. You to an Exhibit 10. Mine ended up not actually being an Exhibit 10. I didn't get the bonus. I was sick 2 months later when everyone got their check and I didn't get my check. But they brought us over in a van, brought us to practice, and then we obviously did it for show, which is a huge moment. We're in an NBA facility. We're not taking any of this for granted. And I remember walking with C, and we both were like, "But we are living my career story mode right now. This is not reality."
It's actually funny the way it happened. I think we had just finished a Long Island practice, and then they came to us and they were like, "All right, let's go. You're going up to Brooklyn." Yeah. And we packed our bags. Oh, we out. Come on, let's do it. Yeah.
So year 1, with Long Island, obviously we've heard a lot of stories about how COVID impacted somebody's season, somebody's career. Aside from initial thoughts, where are you at? Are you going back to Dallas? Are you getting workouts in? What are you doing during that time?
Before we get to that, it can be brief, it can be long. Just talk about the Long Island experience. You played there for 2 years. So pre-pandemic, a little post-pandemic in the bubble, but just talk about being on Exhibit 10, because people who are currently on these training camp deals in the G League, 2 ways, whatever, the rookies, they don't fully understand what the G League entails. And so just talk about what it was like being in Long Island, having guys being assigned, and just your experience, because obviously I have my experience, but, just talk through your first year and then just the pandemic, which we both went through pretty much together in our own way.
Right. I would say, okay, so the Long Island experience was my first pro experience. My first. So if you're on the Exhibit 10 deal, the time that you do have with, the main organization, the main team, try to take as much as you can away from the guys up there and how they operate, how they're taking care of their body, how they're moving, what they do in their workouts. And you want to try to be a sponge with that limited time that you're up there, because how many days was that? That was like a week tops. That week pretty much changed my life and changed my view on being a professional basketball player. I seen after practice, all those guys getting treatment, all those guys getting stretched out, massage therapists, stuff like that. And I'm like, if you want to prolong your career and stay at a high level, these are the things that you have to do, taking care of your body. That's very important, stuff like that. I know in college, a lot of guys, they leave practice and then they just walk out and go home, So just seeing that was very eye-opening. And then I would say the Long Island experience, I learned the business of the G League, the business of the NBA, being there, learning how to adjust. A lot of guys in college, if you're taking that next step as a pro, it's not guaranteed that you're going to be a main guy. Some nights, like you said, some nights are DMP. Some nights you're going to have 30 minutes. One thing I learned in Long Island, no matter who's on the roster, you still have a job to do. They're going to send guys down on assignments. Your minutes, they can go from 20 to 5 minutes that game, but those 5 minutes are important. So that's one thing that I learned from Long Island that I really appreciate experiencing.
No, there were nights, CJ had 28, 5 and 5, like triple double watch, and it's like, okay. And some nights I'd have 4, and the other night I may have 30, and the other night we may have both 2 ways and 3 assignment guys, and we both didn't play. And I think one thing about that is like we both stayed ready. I went from Long Island, the COVID obviously hit. I had every intention to go back to Long Island that next year. Mm-hmm. I thought I would have been possibly in contention for a 2-way. I had been training with KD and Kai that summer. Jay Hans was out there, Spencer, we had guys training, and I kind of fell into that situation. But that kind of got a little murky. And then, as time goes on, you don't want to miss out on an opportunity, and hoping that a situation opens up. And, the best thing for me was to get into a new situation. That's how I found myself in Orlando, training camp. I went to the bubble. CJ and I were both in the bubble. He was with Long Island again. I remember, us having conversations like, man, what's the new Long Island look like with the new coach and new players? We swapped players. It was a trade for me and BJ Johnson. We just switched teams. I think I was in a good situation. We won the championship, and it's just like God puts you in these positions. And CJ cut my hair during the bubble. Like, these were all things we carried over from our time together in Long Island. But I will say, because I've seen the growth from CJ, like everyone has their own path. He's now, having success, overseas, playing in Euro Cup, playing in Italy. But I feel like I can speak for you a little bit. A big thing that probably changed for him, and he talks about watching guys take care of their bodies and prolonging their careers. When COVID hit, he was having chronic back pain. Like there was times where he missed, I think it was 4 or 5 games, and it was just his back. Like I remember him getting treatment. He could not figure out what to do for his back. So you talk through that experience, talk through like what changed, your habits and what you did to take care of it. So you literally could be healthy and come back the next year dunking, going crazy, right? So just talk through that, because me seeing it, being around it, it was night and day. Like I think it saved his career for real.
Right. No, definitely. Definitely. I was dealing with some lower back issues, some tightness. And if you ever have back pain, that limits everything you do. Half your body is your back. So getting into a defensive stance, all of that stuff, it's no fun with lower back pain. But that's actually one of the best things, really one of the best things that ever happened to me was going through that, because it taught me that, listen, if you don't take care of your body, it's no career. And it's plenty of guys that want to be professional basketball players. So you have to take care of what you already have, the gifts that God has blessed you with and stuff like that. So ever since then, I've had a nightly routine. Stretching I take very seriously. Hip mobility, stuff like that. And so that has saved my career. I hear a lot of people say that I talk to that has watched my career. They say, man, you aging backwards. Like you wasn't doing none of this in college. Like, how do you have bounce now? How are you dunking on people now and stuff like that? And I just tell them, man, I started this program called GOTA, and then it kind of just realigns your body. It teaches you, the correct movement patterns, and then I stayed with that, stuck with that, and it's been working for me. So I just continue to do it, continue to stretch on a night in, night out basis, and my career and my body, and it has thanked me for it.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to give away all the secrets. I wasn't trying to give away all the secrets, but no, I mean, it's obviously made an impact. And for me, I was watching him, and I'm like, bro, this doesn't make any sense. So I want to dunk like this. And so he kind of put me onto some stuff. Obviously, I ended up having a severe injury that really was kind of unavoidable. It was really a freak kind of accident, where it wasn't just a lack of preparation or a lack of mobility. It just wrong landing, wrong time. But I remember before that, CJ would send me pics. He's like, see how your feet look? Like, I'm trying to get my feet like that. So I'm trying to get back to it. And it's been a process. I feel like I'm healthier, but there's still things now with such a localized injury at the bottom of your kind of chain. It's really getting that and opening back up. And it's something I've got to continue getting better at. But CJ is literally the person that I look to for that. And so he's been great with that, with food. Obviously he's a father now. So, I mean, shoot, you got an extra mouth to feed, and I'm sure you got good food options for the family.
Yeah.
I think a little transition from Long Island, the bubble year. What was the deciding factor for you, for your family now? You're married, to not go the G League route and to take that jump, that leap overseas, to take that next step in your career. I haven't gotten to a point where overseas has been a thought process of mine. But you see guys who may have been in the league for 2 years, 3 years, guys in our draft class, and I'm seeing more and more people overseas. And at some point, it's not like a demotion or, oh man, like I'm giving up on my dream at all. And I want everyone to understand that. But you've gone through it and I haven't. So talk to me, about that decision. Were you afraid? Was there any sort of uncertainty? Did you feel like you were giving up on something, or was it more like I'm actually, going more in on my journey? Like, talk to me through that, and everyone else who's listening.
Before I touch the overseas, I just want to say something about the Buffalo journey. Coming out of high school, I was under recruited. I pretty much had like Prairie View and probably one other D1 that was like low major, and then I was gonna go to junior college. And so Buffalo called. I was playing as an unsigned senior, and Buffalo called me and said, "Hey, we want to get you on a visit. You still don't have a scholarship offer, but we're going to get you on a visit." And so I ended up going, and I had to work out on my visit against another guy who was competing for the scholarship offer. And then I ended up getting the scholarship, and then the rest is history. You know how the Buffalo career went. So saying that to say, it's always been a crazy journey, but I've always kept faith in God and his direction for my life. So as far as this overseas journey, I was going to do G League for the third year. I was going to do another year. My agent said, hey, Limoges. I went to a team in Limoges, France. He said, hey, Limoges said they need a medical replacement because a guy named Jerry Blake, which is one of my friends now, he's injured. They need 2 months medical replacement. You get some pretty good money for it. Just for 2 months? Yeah, why not? Let's go to France. Let's play for 2 months. Me and my wife coming. Let's do it. But then I get over there and I start playing out of my mind. The first 3 games I struggled, any adjustment, comes with growing pains. But then I started playing out of my mind, playing really good defense, knocking down shots, some really good drives, some good dunks. And then it went from, a 2-month medical replacement to, hey, we want to sign you for the rest of the season. And just being over there, and I like the situation. I like the style of play. European basketball is so much different than basketball in the States. I think it's like it showcases a lot more tactics and schemes and stuff like that with a little less athleticism. So it's a really beautiful thing to watch. You can see the game is getting global now. So I like the situation that I was in. And so I said, okay, let's do it for the end of the season. And we finished out 4th place in the league. We had beat some EuroLeague teams. I think we beat Monaco that year. I think we beat Asvel in 1 game. And so in that opportunity, it was something that I never thought of. Like, I mean, I knew eventually maybe I might go overseas, but I was still focused on like, all right, let's try to get to this NBA dream. Let's try to get to this NBA dream. So now me and my wife over there for the rest of the year, and having such a great year there has set up my career. Now people are talking about, hey, is this guy going to be a EuroLeague player? Is he going to make to the highest level? This guy can really hoop. They was comparing me to Brad Wanamaker. They was like, he can have a career like that. And then so now it has set me up for my Italy job now, being in Brescia. I really like this team. I like the city. And man, the sights overseas are unbelievable. Me and my wife just went to Venice, Italy. The man, that place is so unique. But overseas is a different experience, but it's awesome.
Dude, that's great. That's great. Did you imagine growing up in Dallas, Texas, that you'd have a wife and a young junior overseas in Italy? Like for real? Like that's wild.
No, man. Where I come from, man, a lot of people don't make it out, don't get to experience the things that I experienced. I thank God every day for it. I send my mom and dad pictures. They say, son, keep going. Like, you truly blessed for real. And I'm just thankful for it all.
What do you think? I mean, with that, I mean, that's really the basketball journey. That's touched on family, you touched on faith, being overlooked, undrafted, your journey so far. What do you see yourself next 3 to 5 years? What do you see your basketball career being? How do you want to be remembered? And then also just, we talked about being from Dallas. What are your goals, for your community? Do you have any off the court, plans? And if so, share it here. It's running your own race, and it's not just sports, it's everything. So kind of, bring this together by giving us the CJ Massinburg vision for the future, for his family, for his empire.
Yeah, I would say in the next 3 to 5 years, still balling. I'm trying to keep taking steps up, just being the best basketball player that my capabilities or will allow me to be. I plan on setting Lil C up for the future, dotting my I's, crossing my T's as far as financially, start investing for him. When you become a father, man, you just start thinking like, man, I really got to take care of this guy. And then plans as far as the community. So I'm actually having a camp next summer in Buffalo. I'm going to try to do one in Buffalo and in Dallas, depending on how my summer schedule is, with TBT. But definitely a basketball camp, to get back to the kids, get back to the community, build a bond with them, start building relationships with parents within the community as I'm building my brand even more. We have a family YouTube channel, the Massinburgs. I want that to. I'm just gonna keep. Yes, sir.
The link right here, the Massinburgs. Go follow that, subscribe.
I'm gonna keep putting into that to just share the journey, get a deeper look inside what goes on and just the experiences that we see, and just try to be a positive light on the world, man. That's really just my ultimate goal. My mom named me Christian. That's my real name. So I just try to keep the Christian way and just try to be a positive light on everybody else.
That's awesome, man.
Dallas is an interesting place, like from a basketball culture standpoint, from just culture in general. But you come from a place that competes with like the Duncanvilles, the Lancasters, a lot of other big like institutions. I mean, is there anything else that you want to mention about Dallas before we go? I mean, I saw when you went backwards to mention Buffalo, I felt like that was something really important to you. So if there's something specific to Dallas that you want to speak on, I don't want that to be something that we overlook.
I would just say to just in a city like Dallas, it's a lot of opportunity to do really good. It's a lot of opportunity to, have some shortcomings or make some mistakes and stuff. I would just say the one thing that I had at an early age was always trying to separate myself. And I think that was what has carried me, all the way to where I'm at today. You are what you're around, That's one of the reasons that me and Devin really clicked early. As soon as we met, we had like-minded goals, like-minded personalities, like-minded, aspirations to just be great, in whatever you do, just overall good people. So I would just say to the, people of Dallas, that's especially if you're a young hooper trying to come up, separate yourself, have your goals listed out and be around people that, have similar goals, and that's going to help you reach them.
Got you. And then the last thing is, we always end the same way. What does run your own race mean to you? You've run your own race for sure up until this point, but what does it mean to you?
Run your own race to me means just having tunnel vision, focusing on yourself and your goals and your dreams, especially your dreams. That's a big one. Focusing on your dreams and bringing it to a reality. I feel like God gives us certain visions, certain thoughts. You'd be like, man, why can't I stop thinking about a YouTube channel? Oh, God wants you to create one and show and share and be a light to somebody else. So I would say run your own race is just following your dreams and not worrying about what anybody else has to say. Because as soon as I thought about the YouTube channel, I'd be like, oh, but what if this person says something? Or how is these people going to perceive me? Don't worry about none of that. Run your own race, follow your dreams, and you'll be okay.
Cue the outro music on that.